course, just some hiding, which would largely mean the tail goes way over. With one leg over here. It would also mean we could probably get our dramatic wind. With the hair ponytail. Not too sure about that though. Mostly because of how the legs are going. That's one idea. Another idea is, of course, the ever traditional peering around the corner, which I haven't actually done yet. You'd think I would have, but I haven't. And for this one, I would actually likely even have some fingers going over the edge, just to really emphasize that effect. And just for our chat, we have our dramatic wind again. Just it's probably more facing this way. So it's a little tricky sometimes with these because I'll often start to default to a more accurate anatomy. It's like, no, you can't do that. It's against the law. No, that's not it. Let's erase that. So the tail ends up going here, so you can't see most of it for once. Although that was sort of the case with Ethan Carter as well. So that would be this one. Let's just erase. And with that in, we have to obviously get some somewhat cleaner sketches out and also erase this stuff, because that's not going to be shown. You won't be able to see that. So we'll cover both, bring the opacity down, hide those. There's the head, so we'll just do this. Hide that. So that's what that looks like without the frame stuff. And that's done, so we can see how one looks. Versus the other. And oh, I should bring that back down to 50 again. So we gotta do clean sketch overs of that. So now, obviously, this leg. The thing about this is this leg should be further back, because this is the one that's being stepped from. So there we go, and that looks a little more like someone running. Or at least turning around rather quickly. So we have, whoops, ground, and ground, and this will be more evidenced by shadow. Some foot detail there. So that's that. And of course we had the dramatic wind blowing the ponytail here. For this we want a pressure sensitive eraser, because then we can do this. We can erase what's underneath the ponytail, but we can leave it to a point where we can actually still sort of see what's there, and that'll make it a lot easier for things like the inking, even applying the values, because I can just turn that on and say, okay, so the arm is like that. So that's with that one. Now there's this one. This one. This one I might not have the other foot there, actually. I think it might actually look a little better with just one foot here. Now, an important thing to keep in mind while I'm drawing this is that while the mascot is dressed up as the protagonist generally, I say generally, of course, because we had the Ethan Carter one where that was very far from the case. Or was it? While we generally are dressing them up as the protagonist, they are not representing the protagonist, or at least in terms of personality. So, a lot of emphasis is often in how terrified our dear little Usagi is, because that's very often what actually happens. Sometimes that isn't the case, like Bioshock, I wasn't so much terrified as just having a ball with various plasmids. But otherwise we have that. So let's maybe squish that down a little. That's a little better. And we have the hand. And the remaining ponytail. Before we get the tail itself. This sketch was already fairly clean, it looks like, but it was still important to get that in because of course we did the change on the foot. So this is all established by shadow. And I'm sure many are already wondering how that's going to really work because of course this is already a black background. You can't really have shadow on black background. We're going to be adding some green all around the edges so that it sort of mirrors the more interesting look here. The appearance of the light, basically. So this is where we have to take a vote. Because I am an extremely indecisive person. I'm very sorry. I'm extremely indecisive. So, we gotta figure out which of these to go with. We have the one where the fingers are actually a little bit on the frame, although I can obviously change that to a flatter hand and just flatten it against. We have that one. Or we have the running one. And I forgot to erase a little there, so let's do that as well. Since obviously you are not going to be able to see the leg through that. So running or hiding. With this one we could actually potentially lower the ponytail a little more as well. Let's actually try that. We'll just lasso it. Yeah, we can actually see part of the ponytail this way, which might work a little better. Makes the motion less awkward, so we'll stick with that sort of ponytail. I've never actually put the hair things in a ponytail, so this is a little interesting. So, we might have to come back to this. So we have our sketches at least. We can group all these into a single folder. Let's not forget the T, thanks. Goodness. Okay. So we can hide that for now. And work on that green. Now, if we look at the green, it aside from the helmet glare, it looks like we've got a bit of a metal texture in the back. I'm not sure if I quite want to go with a metal texture though. Oh, that'd do it. Deep breaths there, Akio. Deep breaths. Tumblr can do that. First off, let's hide that frame back there. So we want a dark-ish green. And I say darkish because what we're going to do is also going to rely on the pressure sensitivity again. We're going to be using some more interesting brushes now. So by interesting, I mean these guys. These guys are neat. Mostly. So they do that. That's a little too thick there. We want something a little more faded. You also want this brush to be more spaced. Maybe some texture. To the brush. Just a little bigger. So that already looks a little near so. We just mess around with those sorts of brushes for a bit. Spacing. Whoop. Let's not completely get rid of the spacing. Texture. Again. Texture. This time we're going to go with a more yellowy, brighter green. And of course now we have to erase all of our spaces, so do that. Go to the layer just above, get rid of those. Fun Bart. Okay, so we'll do that. So overlay. Apply some blurring. Just a little, I think. Might be a little clearer with something like, there we go, okay. A little motion blur as well, perhaps. Alright. Now we bring this one down. Here I actually have another brush that's going to be used a little more painterly. This is my metal texture brush. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another bright green. Gonna see how this looks. That's a little too much. A little too much there. And I also think it might not be spacing quite right. Okay, there we go. That's better. So, in terms of layer effects, we're going to try a few things. Basically, this is just to see what gets us the effect we want most. Oh. Looks like overlay might be it. Or perhaps multiply. No. This is just adding some more shapes into the mix. Adding some green around here. Which point? Oh, no, down here. We want to blur this. Yeah, so like that. This one also is going to be blurred, but not quite so much. More like that. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little more creepy, doesn't it? That looks a little more smoky, and but you still got the texture, as you can see. You've still got some grit to the smoke. So that's all our green. That's all our smoke. You should probably move that underneath the fonts. That leaves us with our sketch, though. We have to figure out what the sketch should look like. Should also move these over, actually. Just a little. Just a little more. There we go. And I think I shoved this guy in here. He's somewhere in here. There he is. We foolishly drew on the wrong layer once again. This seems to be happening a lot. So we'll move that out of the sketch. Oh, I dropped in there. There we go. So we have that. Since I still don't know quite which sketch to go with, we might as well work on this then. So, what's that? This is where we actually want to have the reference right there for a while. So what we're gonna do is this. Take the image. Hello. That area is where my camera is. Yes, hello, dear. You're on camera.
See.
I love you.
No.
Wow. So rude, guys. He's so rude.
No.
Denying it, even. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we have that there. We're going to move that over here so that we can better reference it. So rude, I know, right? Okay, so first we have that. Oh, we better get to a normal brush again. There we go. Oh. Oh, thank you. First, we're gonna do this. We'll just get ourselves a little guideline. We want the eraser back to full hardness again. No pressure wibbling around here. So we have that shape. It's going to be crescent. Now, right now there's more white than there is on that thing, obviously, and that is because of the cratering here. We want to be able to have enough space to actually get that effect without, you know, eating into too much space. So, fill that in, and fill the rest in. Okay, so that's going to be what we crater on. And to better do that, I'm going to take something like, let's see, I don't know if that's it. We can check. No, that's definitely not it. That one. Definitely not that one. One of these is very good for flecking. Might actually be one of these. Oh, this one. It's gonna be this one. Or, this guy. There we go. See how he does that? We have to turn that into our eraser. And to be safe, duplicate this. And start eating the edge. We still aren't quite there, so we need the normal eraser again. This is just to add those bigger spots that show up along here. Whoops. And there's really no rhyme or reason to this other than, of course, just to try and make something similar to the side. We don't want identical, first off, because that would be insane! Unless we were tracing, but we're not. And second off, because it probably looks a little better anyway this way. So, we will just make that a little more. And that's what it looks like. And now, so we're duplicate it again, because we want to try something. But before we do try that, it is 7:30, which means it's time to cut and pause for the stream. As you can tell, we're probably not gonna be inking the mascot within this stream, but all things considered, it is a very nice frame even without the mascot so far. So who knows? Maybe I'll find some time to ink him, maybe not. But either way, we're gonna continue working on this little logo guy when we get back. So until then, sit tight and make sure to refresh if it doesn't load right away.